watching. I mean, that is one of the greatest things about the show. You get to meet legends of the business. That's Sonu Nigam.
Really
oh my
enjoyed
God.
that interview.
Yeah.
Yeah, music is a very powerful thing, and that's why here at VBuzz we've got a little music to shake up your Monday. In honor of our next studio guest, Muddin Psytrus, we have his song KL City Lights, which was inspired by the KL City Lights. Have a look at that in VTunes.
Stuck in my car, the traffic's still and the radio on. All I hear is the sound of impatience to get home. The face that looks back from the rearview mirror looks so dreary. I light another cigarette, look out the window, time passes so slow. Then the sun goes down and I come over KL City Lights, and I realize how beautiful they are. I could lose myself in all those KL City lights, dancing in the sky of a KL City night. Open my eyes, soak it in. I know I'm missing when I'm far away. I'll be dreaming all the time I'm back in KL. I open the door, tell the driver to take me home. It's nice to know that nothing much has changed. Cab rides cost an arm and leg. Riding in the backseat, taxi driver tells me be a little late. I look out of the window, time is passing so slow, say it's okay. And then the sun goes down and I come over KL City Lights, and I'm reminded how beautiful they are. I could lose myself in all those KL City lights, dancing in the sky of a KL City night. Open my eyes, soak it in. I know
is supremely catchy.
Yeah, as you know, the whole music video made me really appreciate being in Cal. I kind of just want to run into town right now.
Well, the artist we just played for you, his music video, he will be up next after this commercial break, spilling all the beans, his secrets, and what are his goals for 2016. So stick around after this quick commercial break.
Welcome back to VBuzz. You're here with me, Sharita and Roshan, and now we've teased you enough about our next studio guest, who is an experienced producer who has the ability to bring a recording to life with experience in the technical, creative, and business aspects of producing a record. Muddin Sytrus is a producer with just this ability. He founded Soundworks, a record label with the vision to enable every musician with a passion by creating an avenue for the administration and marketing of independent Malaysian musicians. Apart from being involved in the nuts and bolts of music production, Muddin is also a musician under the stage name Psytrus, as well as a member of the band Hard Candy. Who better to understand the creative needs of a musician than another musician? He creates a perfect balance between technicality and creativity with his experience as an audio engineer, singer-songwriter, composer, and producer. So with no further ado, welcome to VBuzz, Muddin.
Thank you for having me.
Muddin, let's take it back to what it was in terms of how it just got started for you, for your love for the music and how you entered the industry itself. Do you remember that first moment when you were like, wow, I love music, it's going to be a part of my life?
Oh yeah, actually, I remember watching Yellow Submarine as a kid, the Beatles animation, and I thought, wow, this is amazing. And it's been a love of music since then, and the dreams of wanting to become a rock star, and we've all had those dreams. But when I actually finished SPM, and it was time to pick a career, I thought, hey, audio engineering sounds fun. It's got something to do with music. It doesn't involve so much maths, which I hate. And yeah, I went along with that. So as I graduated, I started recording music, started producing. At the same time, I was performing as well. I found that there was a good balance there.
Okay. And now the name Psytrus is very interesting. Can you tell us a little bit about the name and why you chose it?
Funny story. When I did start performing, I realized that, okay, we need to have a stage name. I need something that doesn't mean anything, but something cool. So I thought, Psytrus. It just came, and I thought, 5 consonants in a row. You don't... That's rare. So I went with it.
Yeah, but you know, just coming from a musical point of view or a brand point of view, you chose that name to create a brand. How important is that in the local and just overall in the music industry or the entertainment industry?
Very important. Like, let's take Bono, for example. Single syllable, easy to remember. Everyone knows his name. Everyone knows who he is. No one knows his real name. He's created the brand. He is Bono. He is the personification of Bono as a person. So if you want to take yourself seriously as a musician, you have to create a brand for yourself.
And how important is it to actually separate both identities in this aspect? If you have Muddin and then Sytrus, do you always keep the two separate?
Not entirely. It always overlaps, but from a general point of view, when you do create a brand for yourself, it's important to maintain that public image. You have to be who you are, who you're trying to portray. And you keep your personal life personal.
You know, you founded Soundworks back in 2010. Could you just tell us something about that?
Yes, we started off as a recording studio, just your usual bread and butter recording studio. Clients come in, they record music, and we give them the music in hand. But that's where the problem started. They started asking us, so what do we do with this? Where do we go? How do we talk to radio stations? They had no clue, because most of these musicians are independent. They're just doing this for the first time. They're paying out of their own pockets. So it's tough on them. That's when we realized that because I've been doing this for a while, I have some connections. We built a network, and we know how to distribute the music. We know where to take it to the next step. So we thought, right, perhaps record label is the way to go. So we can actually give these musicians an end game, as opposed to just giving them music and like, you're on your own.
And what challenges did you face in setting up Soundworks?
Well, I was fortunate to have a very, very good investor, right, who believed in me. And but the thing is, when I started, I was doing everything by myself. The production, the recordings, and also the marketing. So when I go out, I meet clients, I get some jobs in. then I'm stuck in the studio doing those jobs. And in that time, I've not gone out and met people.
Yeah.
So when I'm done with those jobs, I'm like, okay, I've got no jobs now.
Yeah.
So it's tough to balance that. But now, as of 2013, 2014, we have a team.
Yeah.
We've got a team of dedicated, all musicians, all of them are musicians. They understand what needs to be done. We've got Nigesh Arman, who's also one of our artists, and Jay Coogan, who's a bassist from a band called Pediasure Band.
And speaking about team, I mean, how strong or how big is it? Are they full-time or do they come and help out the label? Do they help you out? How does it work with you?
Full-time.
Oh, they're full-time?
Passion-driven.
So, and how does the system work? You mentioned a few names there. I mean, are there allocated roles for what they have to do? Like certain people handle the studio, certain people approach the marketing and sales side. How did you go about doing that?
Well, personally, as individuals, we all have our strengths and weaknesses. And this is where we sat down, we identified, although we share the same passion for music, individually we have our own, you know, our area strengths. Yeah. So I found that I'm better at the production, the creative side of things, but I may not be the most organized or, you know. So that's where we have Nigesh Arman, who is very meticulous. So he does all the paperwork and the contracts and the nitty-gritty details, because you cannot oversee those things. It has to be precise. And Jay is he's a musician, he's a bassist, but he comes from the marketing background. So that's his forte, that's his thing. He used to do it for a living, now he's doing it for Pulse.
Wow.
Okay, now speaking about roles, what role does a music producer play?
It really depends on who you ask. In the hip-hop scene, a producer's role is someone who comes up with the music. It basically does everything. The artist just writes the lyrics and performs on it. That's it.
Yeah.
But in pop music, or in rock and roll, the producer usually takes an existing song and puts his own flavor to it, tells the artist or tells the production team, this is what I think is going to work. Because for me, what's important as a producer is the ability to detach yourself from the music. Because as a songwriter, you're emotionally attached. It's something you created. You hear the song a certain way, but it may not be the best way.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
A musician may write a 5-minute song with a really nice guitar solo in the middle, but that's not going to fly on radio.
Yeah.
It's not going to work. It's too long, and guitar solos are just not very current right now. So that's the producer's job. You got to be ruthless. You got to do what it takes.
And how do you learn, you know, this ability to detach yourself from?
Experience.
What helps pays the bills, isn't it?
Oh yeah, yeah.
No, but you just mentioned earlier on that the likes of Bono, you know, they're a role, like an example for creating a brand per se. And from a producer's point of view, I mean, do you have any heroes that you look up to who inspire you? Likewise, any artists out there, what were the role models that you looked at when you started off?
Well, my earliest role models were the Beatles, because I grew up listening to them. And I just spent a lot of time researching their recording techniques.
From a producer's point of view, in terms of producers?
Exactly, yes. So the Beatles used to work with Jeff Emmerich and a few really good engineers who really, really raised the bar in terms of technology, because it was a time where there was not much technology in recording, and they had to do the best they could with whatever limited resources they had. So it pushes creativity to the boundaries.
Okay.
So this is what I always try to do.
Yeah.
Regardless of what technology we have available to us, we've got computers, we've got so many things that we can do just within a computer, but I try to limit what we have and push the boundaries.
Okay.
Okay. And how involved are you in actually producing a record?
Oh, very. In most cases, I'll be there from the pre-production phase, where the band is just rehearsing the song, and I'll give out some pointers on terms of arrangements, on what instrumentation may or may not work. And in most cases, I end up playing something or lending some backing vocals.
Oh, so
I
you end up
really
being
get-
in the song as well?
Yeah.
Oh.
In most of the cases, yeah.
You know, for a lot of people out there, when they just see a singer, they say, oh, it's easy to come by, they just go record and so on and so forth. But could you just say, or just explain how the procedure is when you go up to recording, the things that have to be done before the artist actually steps into the studio? I mean, it's a lengthy process and a difficult process, isn't it?
It is.
I mean, what are the things that you need to do as a producer?
As a producer, I need to make sure the band is well rehearsed, because that's going to take up a lot of studio time. And things are moving so fast these days. You no longer have 6 months to record one single. You got to do it fast. And once you have that single, you got to have a follow-up. So you got to plan your timeline. You got to know when you're recording, how much time you have. So it all has to be planned. It's about the structure of the recording.
It's very in-depth. And people think it's easy, isn't it?
Oh, no, it's not. A lot of planning that goes in.
Yeah.
And as a producer, do you recognize raw talent when you first see it? And do you sometimes see people and just know that they're going to be good, or know that there's no hope? Or do you know that anyone can be
That's a yes or
trained?
no question. Sometimes I've identified talents who, I mean, it's undeniable, but they just don't have what it takes, the drive. Talent alone is not enough. You got to have the drive. You got to want to do it. Because if it was easy, everyone will be there.
So basically,
yes.
you're saying hard work beats talent if there's no hard work
It
put in.
goes hand in hand.
It goes
you
hand
got to
in hand.
have a bit of both.
But if there is no hard work, then the talent
Then-
is just wasted,
yeah,
isn't
it's
it?
a waste.
I mean, speaking about talents itself, could you just mention some of the artists that you have worked with in terms of production?
Oh, sure. Well, most of these guys have been on your show. I produced Arman, of course, and No Tyra, they've been on the show. Chanel Devasa and the N Leaves. And we're currently working on Fabian Mark Peter, who was on the show recently as well.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh,
We
all
interviewed
great
him.
artists.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So is
oh,
there-
yeah, and also Hamir Zabawi. I love working on his album. He's such a storyteller.
Why?
The way he writes his lyrics and he delivers, he tells a story with his song, and it really takes you on. It's like reading Enid Blyton or something like that.
Yeah.
It's amazing. The things that go through his head.
Yeah, and these are all the artists that you have worked with.
Yes.
Is there anybody that you haven't worked with that maybe you'd like to work with in the future?
Well, I would like to work with Darren Ashley. He's an amazing artist in his own right, and also a great, great producer. So
Yeah.
I think that if I got a chance, I would really like to work with him. You know, just check out the way his methods, because everyone works differently. Everybody's got their own workflow, and just like to pick his brain a little bit.
You know, you mentioned the word methods there. You've been in the industry for quite some time now, both producing and making music for yourself. In terms of how the industry has changed from your point of view, how has that journey been?
Well, it's been a difficult journey. There's a lot more opportunities these days as opposed to the early 2000s or mid-2000s when we started off. And the most important thing is that there is a lot of information available at their fingertips right now. So people that we work with, they are well informed. They know what music works, what doesn't. They know about brand image, how your band is supposed to sound like, and how the look relates to that. So when I work with a lot of new musicians these days, they know exactly what they want. That, you know, you can't just go there and tell them, listen, I'm the producer, I know what's best. Like, no. No, they know what they want. So it's being a producer, most importantly.
Is it harder that way when you deal with someone like that? Does it stifle the
It's
creativity?
about people skills.
Wow.
End of the day, it's about
Man
people.
management.
Yep.
Okay.
So as long as you got a good relationship going on, the recording process will be great.
Okay. Now, Muddin, we spoke about this earlier, you know, separating your two personas, but when it comes to writing your own music, do you separate the producer from the musician, or has the fusion of both roles helped create your best music?
Well, I would say that the fusion has helped, but I found out the hard way that you really need to do one thing or the other. You can't do both. And that's why, as you've seen, I've got one single release, KL3 Lights, and nothing much since. Although I have a lot of material, because it's hard for me to put down a track and be okay with it, because as a musician, I'm always like, no, it can be better, but as a producer, I'm saying, it's done. So it's a constant inner conflict that I have to deal with.
Okay, and how are you overcoming this issue? now?
I'm getting someone else to produce me.
So just detaching.
Speaking about producing or getting other people to work with you, I mean, you are a solo artist as well as you're in a band. I mean, how does that work for you in terms of both production and just putting music out there?
Well, the band is, there's a direction, there's a sound. Hard Candy is a 90s flavored pop rock, sing-along, feel-good band, right? And there's certain kind of songs that work. But as a songwriter, I would like to write whatever I want. So Sytrus is my outlet for that, and Hard Candy is my fun stuff with the band.
Okay, so you know, you mentioned you haven't really put anything out there since 2012.
Yes.
What can we expect to see from you this year?
This year, I'm quite busy producing quite a few acts. Arman's album's coming out, No Tyra's album's coming out, and as mentioned, Fabian Mark Peter coming out soon. And after all of that is done, I would really like to sit down and record a bunch of new songs that I've been writing over the years.
How many songs are in the pipeline?
I've got about 15 to play with. Then we'll
Wow.
shortlist it down
That's
to
like a
10.
full-on album, by the way.
Oh yeah, yeah.
It's not an E EP.
No. It's a full-on album. But because it's such an a la carte market these days,
Yeah.
that, most people consume music on Spotify and iTunes. So we'll have to work on singles.
Yeah.
But it's good to have a set of songs so you know when to follow up.
Okay, well, we look forward to that, and thank you so much for sharing
Thank
that
you.
with us, the plans, and we look forward to hearing everything
Yeah.
you have to offer in 2016.
My friend,
Thank
it's
you.
been an absolute pleasure. Thank you so much.
Been a pleasure.
It's so funny how the music has evolved from being a single artist to releasing albums to
Yeah.
releasing singles.
I'm just getting so tired, just hearing about how much work he's done in the past few
And
years.
speaking about being tired, you can take a quick break right now because after the commercial break, we will have our second guest, Ray Chong, to serenade you with some special tracks. That's coming up next.